A very important aspect when handling agile and hybrid and waterfall projects is risk. But how risk is being handled in hybrid and agile projects? So, risk management in hybrid projects present unique challenges because these projects integrates both agile and predictive approaches. While predictive methods focus on detailed upfront planning and risk identification, assessing the risk qualitative impact and the quantitative impact, and then finding the responses or the mitigation strategies, whether by sharing or compromising or let's say mitigation or accepting. So agile methods rely on continuous risk assessment and adaptive response strategies. Hybrid projects requires a balanced risk management framework that allows the proactive risk identification while also retaining the ability to adapt to emerging risks during the execution. What are the key risks challenges that you might face when, let's say, managing the risks in hybrid projects? So, one of the biggest challenges in hybrid projects is the inconsistency in risk identification. Also, the responses between the teams using maybe agile and waterfall approaches, and those following the predictive methods. So, the predictive teams may expect a detailed risk register and response plans upfront, while agile teams identify and mitigate risks iteratively. Another issue here is the stakeholder resistance, as many executives are comfortable maybe with the predictive risk control and risk register and looking at these mitigation strategies, while agile have found that the evolving risk management are unsettling. The hybrid project managers must also address the integration risks when merging agile developed components into a structured predictive environments. So again, these key challenges include the inconsistency in risk response methods and resistant to change by the stakeholders and executives feel maybe more comfortable looking at the traditional risk planning and responses and the integration risks view the different workflows, tools, and governance models. To overcome some of these challenges, you need to balance these predictive and agile risk approaches. So, hybrid projects benefit from combining the predictive and agile risk strategies. The traditional risk management involves documenting the potential risks early and planning the mitigation strategies in advance. Agile risk management, on the other hand, is iterative and adaptive, responding to risks as they emerge. And by maintaining a traditional risk register for known risks while incorporating agile risk based backlog prioritization, the hybrid projects can manage both the predictable and the evolving risks effectively. So in agile, again, how it happens, the risk based backlog prioritization, where you prioritize the items or you prioritize these user stories which have maybe higher risk levels, and you prioritize these to let's say to be implemented let's say with higher priority. And this will be our next talk here when we say that using the risk based backlog and agile components. In hybrid projects, the risk based backlog it helps agile teams to address the emerging threats effectively. So the risks here can be translated into user stories or backlog items to ensure that they are considered during each sprint. Agile teams can then prioritize the risks based on their impact and uncertainty and finding a mitigation strategies for the high risk items early. But what are the risk identification techniques in hybrid projects? So, risk identification in hybrid project must use both the predictive and agile techniques. The predictive teams can apply the SWOT analysis, also the Monte Carlo simulation and historical data assessment to identify long term risks, while agile teams should leverage the risk burn down charts and continuous team discussions to address these emerging risks. With having a regular risk workshops, by involving both of the teams, you can ensure the alignment between both of the predictive and the agile teams. Again, so how you can identify these risks in hybrid projects is by using the predictive risk assessment, the risk register to identify the long-term project risks, also by implementing agile risk burn down charts for real-time risk tracking, and by conducting a cross-functional risk workshops to align both of the teams. When it comes how to plan the risk responses in hybrid projects, so hybrid projects requires a multiple layers of risk response strategies. The predictive risks should have a detailed contingency reserve and response plans, while agile risks need the flexibility in budgeting, scheduling, and resource allocation. When it comes to hybrid teams, the hybrid teams should implement an iterative risk reviews to adapt to the changes and use prototyping or pilot testing to reduce the uncertainty. An important aspect here when handling risks in hybrid environment is communication. So, effective risk communication in hybrid projects requires both structured documentation and agile visualization. The traditional project managers rely heavily on detailed risk reports, while agile teams prefer a visual dashboards where we talked about the risk burn down charts. Also, the daily stand up meeting to discuss these risks, let's say, iteratively. A combined approach ensures that all of the stakeholders stays informed and these risks are escalated efficiently. One of these important concepts with having continuous risk monitoring and control. So hybrid projects must continuously monitor the risks using both milestones reviews and agile sprint retrospectives. Also, the leading indicators such as the early defect rates and customer feedback and the velocity fluctuations that can help the project team to anticipate and respond to risks before they escalate. This is one of these case study where the risk management in one of these hybrid projects where there is software development. So, a large multinational bank is developing a new hybrid mobile banking system who used combined risk strategy by having the predictive risk analysis for the regulatory compliance and security elements within your project. Also, they use the agile risk burn down chart to track the technical implementation risks. And by balancing and implementing both of these techniques, um, these approaches, the project has successfully delivered on time while mitigating the major security threats. And here are some of the best practices that you can implement when managing the risks in hybrid projects. So, again, we say that you need to blend the predictive and agile risk approaches. Depends on the components of the risk, whether it's a long term, let's say, risks that can be handled in the predictive, maybe risk management strategies. We also looked at the agile risk, these short term or the let's say the end user or the feedback that can bring you these risks. Also by engaging the stakeholders in risk assessment to ensure the alignment between both of the teams and to ensure the stakeholders are well informed about these risks within your project. And by leveraging a data driven insights for proactive risk mitigation, you can ensure um, let's say the success of your risk management strategies. And by applying a structured yet flexible approach to risk management, The hybrid projects can achieve high adaptability while maintaining strong governance.